Hello and welcome to another Crochet with Cris video. I'm your host Cris. This is the final video in creating this granny square beret cap for headhuggers.org. The cap, the organization itself, it's all linked down on the doobly-doo. I do have permission to do this tutorial. So it's for headhuggers.org, which is an organization or a project where it allows people who knit, crochet, and sew to create various hat styles to send in and to be given to people undergoing chemotherapy, which of course, as you all well know, causes people's hair to fall out. So this is not the first video in this tutorial, so if you've not watched the first few videos on how to create the elements and stitch these together, then I would suggest stopping this video and going back. This video is not for the beginner. You need to know the stitches in order to go through this tutorial, so if you're not familiar with stitches like the single crochet and the double crochet, then I highly suggest you stop this video and go find some of my tutorials on those stitches. Once you learn those stitches, creating this pattern is relatively simple. So you do not have to be an expert to create the hat. I will say, you know, the pattern is linked down below. If you're on my blog, then it's up above. But, pardon, I was adjusting my camera. If you read the pattern, the original pattern, which I think it's going to be I have been up until this point using a J, and the J is going to give you a bigger hat on top. And what the H is going to do is it's a smaller stitch, so it's going to pull this in a little bit, and then I'm going to do some decreases, which are not suggested in the pattern, but to give it a tighter, more, I don't know, it's just going to be smaller, so it's going to fit the head a lot tighter. On this first one that I made, this is the first one that I did, which is direct to the pattern. There are no modifications to this. I found that the band was a lot looser than I think it should be, and you didn't get the puff effect of a beret. So I just, you know, in the pictures on the website looked like that puff was there, so it's almost like it was missed in the pattern. There were some other things missed in the pattern, so I'm assuming that it was supposed to be there. So we're using the contrasting color, move the head back, we're using the contrasting color again, and in this, for me, it's this thyme green, medium thyme, I do believe. I am using acrylic yarn, so I'm going to go ahead and get my yarn on the hook. Now I personally like the front side of my single crochet, so I'm starting on this side. If you happen to like the back side pattern of your single crochet better, start on the opposite side. But I'm going to start in the middle of a square, and I'm crocheting through both loops now. There's no back loop only. So I'm going to go ahead and hook my yarn on and throw my tail in there. And I'm going to chain one, because this row is going to be single crochets. So we're going to single crochet all the way around and slip stitch in this starting chain to join. Now, I think the hard part is when you get to these little dips, is your hat kind of wants to dip back down, but as you single crochet around, you're going to find that those little dips go away. Now what I'm going to do is every 10th stitch I'm going to decrease by one. So that's one, unless I'm on the corner. Two, whoops, I'm 4 minutes in, I messed up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I just went across that. See how it pulled that up? That was 8, right? 9, and now 10 and 11, I'm doing a decrease. So I'm putting my yarn through, pulling it over, and then doing the same thing at the next stitch and drawing them all together. What I'm trying to do is to get this band just to shrink in so it's a little tighter on the head, especially since I used a larger hook on top. So I'm going to do another. Keep going. 1, 2. You should end up with about 70 to 80 stitches on top. 3, if you don't decrease. which the pattern does not tell you to decrease at all. So that was 5. Oops. I'm just going from what the pattern says and what it looked like. It appeared as if there was a decrease. 7. There's 8. All right, 9 and 10 I can get a decrease in. There's 9 and 10. This is going to give it more of that beret shape that everybody wants. 1. Oh, I didn't put it through 2 loops on that one. Pull that out. We all make mistakes, just no crochet. You can just pull it out. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I'm going to do a decrease. Just pull through. I'm going to do it on the next stitch. Ta-da! 10. All right. 1, 2. And as I work around these corners, you see they can pull up, so it makes it a lot nicer. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is my decrease. And because I picked honestly I just picked a random number to decrease on that was a relatively larger number. It's gonna evenly shrink the hat in all the way around so you don't get it tighter on one side than the other. And I wanted to point out, you saw how deep those valleys were when we started. By the next row, all of your corners are going to be smooth. It'll be a nice smooth hat. So let's keep going here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every stitch I'm making sure I have 2 loops on top of it. 6. Even in the corner I make sure I have that 2. There's 7. And that's just for stability. 8. There's 9, and then the 10 and 11. I do the decrease. Okay, 1, 2. We should be getting close to the end here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Oops, 10 was supposed to be the decrease, wasn't it? Ha ha ha. Oops. I got excited hoping I was going to decrease over a corner. What did I do? Oh, I almost did a double crochet there. Catch that? See? And I don't believe in editing out my mistakes. So I think when you see, especially as a beginning crocheter, another person make a similar mistake, it's like, oh, I'm not the only one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is my decrease. Now after this row, what you need to do is try the hat on, honestly. 1. And what you do is, if you need it to be a little smaller, you do another row of single crochets going around with the decrease. And if you don't, then you can continue along with your double crochets. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and oh, look at that. I'm at the beginning of where I started my row. A lot of people use stitch markers. I just can see that I have a double crochet or a single crochet on top of my double crochet. So I'm going to slip stitch and join. Perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and try this on to see if it's snugger. Oh, and it is. So I'm actually pretty happy with starting my rows of double crochet with this. And if you look now at the shape of it, I'm going to pull my camera back. Instead of being straight up and down, you can see now there's a curve to it. That's because we've cinched in the top a little bit. What you can do is if it is too big and you want to go another size, you just do another row of single crochet before starting your double crochet. And what you do with the next row of single crochet is you can continue and do a decrease, maybe even on a bigger number just to get a smaller decrease if you just need to tweak it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and start my row of double crochet. I'm going to say that this is small enough. And the reason it's small enough is because I have a very large head. And I'm assuming there are some people out there with bigger heads. Now, if you think about the chemo patients, though, let's take a step back. They might have big heads, but without hair, they may actually need a smaller hat. So you know what? I think I am going to put another row of single crochet on because of that thought alone. And yes, I will be shipping these to Sue when I am done. I do have another hat I'm sending her as well. So, oh, I just want to drop a note that if you are sending something to Sue, you might want to drop a few bucks in to help her actually ship it off to the other place. You don't have to. She doesn't ask, but I will because, gosh darn it, I'm just that kind of person. So I think I'm going to continue on with the 10 decrease. Oh, I want to do a chain 1. Oh, I did. I'm going to continue on with the every 10th stitch do a decrease, and I will meet you back here when I go all the way around and we're going to start our rows of double crochet. So I will see you in a few. Alright, and now I've met you back here. I have 2 rows of single crochet on top of my sewn together squares. As you can see now from the side I have a really good bevel, so this is going to take on a really good beret shape. If you follow the pattern example to the T without doing the decreases, you're going to have a very flat slouch looking cap, which I'm not saying that is bad, but because the name Beret was in the title, I took creative licensure and I'm turning it into a beret. So now that we've finished the row of single crochet, the pattern calls for 3 rows of double crochet, and I agree, 3 rows of double crochet would be wonderful. So I'm going to show you the start, and then of course you're going to go all the way around, slip stitch a join, and then just repeat that 3 times, and then we'll be back here again. So to do that, you're going to do a chain 2. So there you have it, and then in the next stitch I am going to do a double crochet. And I am going to continue that all the way around. And then when I come back to this other side and I make it all the way around, I am going to slip stitch in the top of my chain 2 to join, and then I'm going to chain 2 and go up to the next row and do the same thing. So I will see you back here when we all finish 3 rows of double crochet. Alright, I have now finished my 3 rows of double crochet. We are going to go back to the chain 1 single crochet all the way around, and we need 2 rows of single crochet all the way around. So I will see you back here once we all finish that, and then we'll pretty much have a finished hat. So with that said, let's go ahead and get crack-a-lacking on our last 2 rows. We're in the home stretch. Alright, I have finished my 2 rows of single crochet, and I am now weaving in my end, my tail here. Just going to go up and down a few rows, trying to make sure that's in. Tell you, it took all of my willpower to end this pattern without doing an edging around it. When I make things, I like to do edgings. I've blogged about doing edgings and how it's just kind of ingrained in me that an edging just really finishes the piece off. And this would be the perfect piece for the chain 1 slip stitch edging. But I thought, you know, well, I had kind of already modified it, but I'm like, no, I didn't really modify it. I just made the pattern. I filled in some holes of the pattern. The pattern clearly does not call for an edging, unfortunately. But I have a feeling, I think my other tail's on the inside, any future of these, any hats of these in the future that I make, I will more than likely do an edging on them. The reason I didn't is because I did try to keep this as close to the pattern as possible. We just had some places in the pattern that weren't very clear, or even in some cases were missing, especially like the chain 2s at the beginning of the rows. So I did not put an edging on this. I've already tied off, so I'm not going to go back and put it on now. And now we have our hat. It's kind of hard to see so close up. I'll pick it up. So you see there's definitely some bevel on the inside. You see there's a ridge. Oh, you look at my crochet hook, it points right at it. There's definitely a little lip there that's going to give a little more snugness to the head. So let's go ahead and take this one off, the styrofoam head, put this one on, and see how it looks. Alright, and here's the finished product on the head. Of course it's very stiff, but I think the most important part to me is this top. As you can see, this part here is more form-fitting to the head, but you get a nice little bevel there, which is more of a beret shape than before. So it's definitely a little more snug. I like the back. I think it's going to sit a little bit more, especially after you wash it once and get it the fibers loosened up a little bit. So there you have it, the headhuggers.org granny square. Got a lumpy on that side. That's just the air. That'll loosen up when we wash it. The granny square beret. So thank you for watching my tutorial. Again, don't forget to check out headhuggers.org, especially if you sew, knit, or crochet, because you can help her on her mission to help those people who are undergoing chemo treatment. So thank you again, and happy hooking.